Merry meet everyone. This is Phoenix Aurora and I am currently sitting in my backyard against this huge pine tree that you may or may not have seen in my first video that's in my backyard. I'm just sitting against it and I like to sit here against this tree for grounding, you know, for when I want to meditate. And you know, sometimes I just sit here and look at all the cardinals that have recently been flying and coming to hang out in my yard, which I think is very cool. Anyway, moving right along, the reason I'm doing this video is to kind of touch on the importance of dream journaling. Now, I'm gonna, in just a few minutes, tell you guys about a dream that I had about a year ago. It was 27th of April last year that I had this dream. Now, for those who don't know or haven't watched my, introduction video, I think it's titled I Am Phoenix, and I can link it to the bottom for anybody who cares to watch it. But those who haven't watched it, I am a neophyte, a newbie, a baby witch, whatever you want to call it. I consider myself a hereditary witch because I do have witches in my family, but I did not know this until recently. I've always felt connected to, to the earth, to nature, to spirit, however you want to say it. I just didn't realize until I started looking into it more in depth that my spiritual beliefs are pagan. I'm not Christian, even though I was raised by, Christian parents. The dream that I had was a year ago, and the reason I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it is because it blew my mind. I didn't remember it until the other day because I have a lot of memory on my computer, and I was trying to go through and delete files that I didn't really need anymore, and I came across a file that I had titled Parrot Dream. And I remembered having the dream, but I didn't remember, details. So I opened the file and I read it. I thought, wow, that's crazy, I felt at the time, a year ago, when I had this dream, before I came to this spiritual path, that it was important, and I felt compelled to write it down. Even though I didn't technically write it down, I went to my computer and I typed it up. But now, or a couple days ago actually, I went to some dream interpretation websites and looked up the meaning of some of the things in my dream, and it blew my mind. And Sunshine Morning Ray is particularly the witch that I remember watching a video of, talking about why it's important to write down your dreams, and now more than ever I understand why. The dream that I had going into my dream was that it felt like I was in a rainforest, and it felt like I was in El Yunque, which, as a quick aside, is in Puerto Rico. It is a national rainforest in Puerto Rico, and yes, I am Puerto Rican for those who don't know. But I felt like I was in El Yunque, and we were in a log cabin. And when I say we, I mean my family, including my mother. And I felt like my husband was in the dream, but he wasn't physically there with us in the log cabin that we were in. But we were in a log cabin in the rainforest, and there were these parrots flying overhead in a circle. And of course, being in Puerto Rico, they were Puerto Rican parrots. They're these green parrots that are native to the island of Puerto Rico, flying over my head in a circle. And I remember looking up and thinking, this is really weird. This is kind of crazy. But I wasn't afraid. I wasn't worried that they were going to poop on me or attack me and my mom and my kids in this common area, living room or whatever in the log cabin. And I remember thinking that I didn't want them to be trapped in the log cabin. So I went and opened the window so that they could fly out. And every single one of them flew out except for this one parrot. And it was a pink parrot with like blue feathers at the tip of its like wings and tail, but it was primarily pink. And I remember it landing on my shoulder, and I want to say it was my left shoulder, though I didn't write it down, so I don't clearly remember. And it began to preen me, like take its beak and, mess with my hair and peck at my ears, but it didn't hurt. It was clearly being affectionate with me. And it even like nuzzled up against my cheek. And in the dream, I remember thinking that I didn't want this bird, like the rest, to be trapped. I wanted it to be free. So I walked to the window with it and, was kind of like, be free. You don't have to stay here with me. You can fly. And it did. After I asked it to, it did fly off, but it stayed close by. I remember it landing on a tree that was just outside the window, just outside the log cabin. And I remember it looking at me as if to say, okay, I get it. I'm free and you want me to be free, but I want you to know that if you need me, I am never too far away. That's just the sense that I got when it landed on the tree and just looked at me. Like it didn't want to leave me. It was just honoring my wishes. And I don't remember anything else about the dream at all. I think that's the point in which I woke up. And like I said, I felt compelled to write this dream down, and I did not know why at the time. But when I went to some dream interpretation websites, some of the symbolism just, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, oh my gosh. And this is what I found. Parrots are symbolic of a message being conveyed to you, new ideas, and growth being imminent. And a parrot also is symbolic of you needing to pay attention to the signs around you. And I certainly do believe in signs. When I read that, I was like, wow, okay, I got you. Then I learned that flying birds represent joy, harmony, balance, and love, experiencing spirituality, freedom and psychological liberation, as well as representative of angels or spirits. Then I looked at the symbolism for the color pink, which represents love, joy, kindness, and healing through love, which I personally feel paganism is very much an open religion in that they accept everybody, they love everybody, they try not to judge people, and it's one of the things that kind of drew me to paganism in the first place. Now, that's not to say that there aren't bad apples, because there are bad apples everywhere, but the majority of the pagans that I have come across and that I have watched on YouTube are amazing. So I just want to say that. The color blue is supposed to be symbolic of truth, wisdom, and openness, clarity of mind, and again, a spirit guide. So I really feel like perhaps my spirit guide came to me in the form of a parrot. Maybe it's my spirit animal or my totem animal, which I'm not 100% sure what the difference is. Even though I've watched videos on the difference, I'm still not clear on what the difference is. But that really hit me when I read that. Then seeing your parent in your dream, which my mom was in the dream, is symbolic of the merging of the male and female aspects of your character, which, like I said, if you've seen the previous video, I mentioned that I am a tomboy. I am very much a tomboy, so much so that some of my friends and family refer to me as daddy's little boy, even though I'm clearly not a boy. In the last couple of years, I've been trying to connect with the goddess and connect with the feminine because I'm a mother now, and I feel that balance is important. And I've been familiar with male deity, particularly Jesus Christ, because most of my family is Christian or specifically Catholic. So my mom being there is, could be considered symbolic of that. Then my kids being in the dream were symbolic of unfulfilled desires and hopes, as well as the need for nurturing and growth, which again, is telling me that the path that I'm on now is exactly where I need to be, even though the dream was a year ago. The log cabin that we were in, being in a stranger's house specifically, because that's what I would consider, this log cabin that we were in. We were either in someone else's house or we had rented it or whatever. But it indicates something that you have yet to discover about yourself, which growing up, my family has always referred to me as una brujita, which means little witch in Spanish. And it kind of makes sense now. Just my being intuitive, and being able to sense and feel things that most people would just kind of pass off and not pay attention to. The fact that it's a log cabin, logs are supposed to be representative of subconscious ideas, of transformation, of taking new directions, and the need to take action in moving forward. So again, that is telling me, I could be wrong, but my interpretation is that everything that I'm doing right now is exactly what I need to be doing. The fact that we were in the living in common room when the parrots were circling overhead is representative of mental or emotional comfort, relaxed or unconcerned. Sorry about that, y'all. I got a phone call. But anyway, where was I at? Oh, the imagery of the living in common room. That's supposed to be symbolic of mental or emotional comfort. I think I said that already. And of being relaxed or unconcerned about an issue. And the general idea I got was, a sense of maybe complacency, and that, I think I know what's up, and I think I've got my shit together as far as my spirituality, but that there is still much that I need to learn. I visited churches and I tried, to be a good Christian, but I never really connected to it. Something about going to church and having somebody tell you what your spirituality should be just did not feel right to me. And that again was the appeal of the pagan path, and why I'm on the pagan path, and why I am connecting with the goddess, particularly Isis, who is the goddess that I feel most drawn to currently. That could change, because I think change is important, growth is important, and it shouldn't be something that you view as scary, because it's not. Without change, there is no growth. So there you have it. The reason I am telling you guys about my dream is because I wanted y'all to understand that a lot of the times when you have a dream, especially if it's a vivid and clear dream, and when you wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, wow. It feels intense, it feels important, then you should certainly write it down. I personally have lately been recording myself because I have a voice recording feature on my phone, and I feel like it takes less time to record myself in a voice recording than it does to try and write it down. And so that's what I've been doing here lately. But definitely, if you have a dream and you think it's important, even if you don't think it's important, it's a good idea to write it down, type it up on your computer, record yourself, or record it in some way, shape, or form, because you never know what kind of message is being conveyed to you that you may or may not understand at the time, but then later on you go back and you look at it and you're like mind blown, which is essentially what happened to me. So I am with you, Sunshine Morning Ray. It is definitely imperative to write down your dreams. And you may not understand it at the time either, because I certainly didn't. A year ago, I just knew that it was important and that it meant something, but I didn't know what. Now I do. So there you have it, guys. If you guys have anything you want to add, maybe as far as symbolism in my dream, please feel free to let me know. Leave me a comment. I'm always open to advice, especially since I am, still pretty fresh meat when it comes to this spiritual path. I'm always looking to learn. I love to learn. So teach me. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Merry part, and blessed be you guys.